Assalamualaikum. I'm Talal Suhail. I welcome you all to Virtual University's program on personality psychology. Dear students, today is our lecture number 38, and in this lecture number 38 we are beginning with Albert Ellis' ABC theory of personality. It's a very interesting theory, relates with irrational beliefs, relates with faulty beliefs, relates with negative thinking, superstitious thinking, and it's something which you'll find very interesting and which you come across every day in your normal everyday life. So we'll be talking about Albert Ellis' ABC theory of personality. But before beginning with this new theory, let us recap what we did in lecture number 37. In lecture number 37, we were talking about Skinner's theory of personality. जनाब, हम लेक्चर नंबर 37 में रेडिकल बिहेवियरिज्म की बात कर रहे थे आपसे, और इस रेडिकल बिहेवियरिज्म की जो थ्योरी है, दिस वाज गिवन टू अस बाय स्किनर, एंड स्किनर इज एन इंडिविजुअल हु टोटली रिफ्यूज्ड बिलीविंग इन द कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ इनर स्टेट्स. फॉर स्किनर, बिहेवियर इज लर्न एंड बिहेवियर शुड ओनली बी फोकस्ड ऑन ऑब्जर्वेबल or overt behavior. That is, a psychologist should take into account only the observable or overt behavior, and the inner behavior states or inner behavioral states should be ignored. Now we talked at length about classical conditioning, operant conditioning, reinforcement, schedules of reinforcement, and we tried to go ahead with the techniques and application of Skinner's radical behaviorism. तो जनाब, बात आपसे हुई थी क्लासिकल कंडीशनिंग की. हमने ये कहा था कि क्लासिकल कंडीशनिंग और रिस्पोंडेंट कंडीशनिंग, इट इज बेस्ड ऑन SR रिलेशनशिप, स्टिमुलस रिस्पॉन्स रिलेशनशिप, एन एसोसिएशन बिटवीन स्टिमुलस एंड इट लीड्स टू अ response. Now, the stronger the connection between stimulus and response, more is going to be the conditioning. So basically, we were focusing on Pavlov's classical experiment, where there was an unconditioned stimulus, meat, leading to an unconditioned response, salivation. And when this unconditioned stimulus was paired with a conditioned stimulus, that is a bell, and on a repeated occasion, this was presented simultaneously. This led to the salivation response, and finally, it was just the conditioned stimulus bell which led to the conditioned response salivation in the dog. So similarly, Skinner thinks that we can condition behavior, we can teach certain behavior patterns. Now, Skinner is of the view that an individual operates on the environment, and as a result of it, the environment is changed. And if we want that a behavior should be repeated again, or if frequency of a behavior should increase, we should reinforce it, we should reward it. And Skinner is using positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement to increase the frequency of a desired behavior. Similarly, he is using extinction or punishment reinforcement to decrease the frequency of an undesirable behavior. तो जनाब, हमने आपसे बहुत डिटेल में बात की स्किनर के रेडिकल बिहेवियरिज्म की, बात की आपसे क्लासिकल कंडीशनिंग की, ऑपरेंट कंडीशनिंग की, बात आपसे रही बहुत डिटेल में रीइंफोर्समेंट की, शेड्यूल्स ऑफ रीइंफोर्समेंट की, एप्लीकेशन ऑफ रेडिकल बिहेवियरिज्म इन डिफरेंट सेटिंग्स, और हमने ये देखा कि स्किनर्स रेडिकल बिहेवियरिज्म हैज अ नंबर ऑफ एप्लीकेशन। जनाब, हमने बहुत डिटेल में बहुत सारी टेक्निक्स आपसे डिस्कस की, जिसमें हमने शेपिंग, सक्सेसिव अप्रोक्सीमेशन, अवर्सिव, assertion training, we talked about token economy, time out, behavior modification, and we discussed them with examples. Now, all of these techniques are based on operant conditioning principle, and we even went through the concept that Skinner's radical behaviorism or operant conditioning is being extensively used with children, with adults, with normal population, with clinical population, with prisoners, with people who are working in a number of settings. So हमने इसमें ये देखा कि all of these techniques which we have just talked about, shaping or successive approximation, assertion training, aversion, or token economy or time out, they are being used with normal, with clinical population, with children, with adults very successfully. That can give you an idea that operant conditioning is very popular, and the very fact that it is being applied in so many areas again tell us that it is being used in so many places, so it is very popular and it is being used. Dear students, let us talk about and begin with our lecture number 38, and let us see what we have to do in lecture number 38. जनाब, लेक्चर नंबर 38 में हम आपसे आज बात करेंगे बहुत डिटेल में एल्बर्ट एलिस की ABC theory of personality की. But before beginning with that, let us see that people have a number of irrational beliefs. बहुत सारे irrational beliefs हैं जो लोगों में हैं. For example, black cat should not cross your way. Number 13 is considered to be horrible or is a symbol of bad luck. Broken mirror is a sign of another bad luck. तो जनाब, ये सारे irrational beliefs हैं, यानी काली बिल्ली मेरा रास्ता ना काटे, और number 13 has got something evil or bad in it, or I should not look in a broken mirror. Now, और भी इसके अलावा बहुत सारी irrational beliefs हो सकती हैं. For example, मेरे बहुत सारे irrational belief हो सकते हैं. I must please my boss. I should blame myself for my failure. At every cost, almost every cost, I should win the International Ladies Club membership. ये सारे irrational belief हैं. Now, according to Albert Ellis, many people have a huge number of irrational beliefs, and these irrational beliefs are the basis of their maladjustments. These irrational beliefs, they cause depression, anxiety, maladjustment. So, we are not born as irrational beings. Human beings are by birth rational beings. It is through a process of socialization, that is parents, teachers, peers, friends, religious, political leaders, books, film, media, and many more things which add to this socialization process, and this adds to your set of irrational beliefs. Now, for Alice, he thinks and he firmly believes in it that all stressful life events, they are the activating agents labeled as A. So, जितने भी stressful life events हैं, उन सबको Alice activating events या agents का नाम देता है और उनको label करता है with A. Now, it is because of these stressful life events that they lead to a consequence. C. This can be a pathological consequence, or this could be a pleasant consequence. So, C refers to the consequence or the result. Now, according to Alice, all stressful life events, they do not lead to any pathology, any disorder, any depression, any anxiety. A is not leading to C. It is the B part, the belief system, the interpretation. What you believe in it, how you interpret an event, that is important. So, that is from where we get the A, B, C theory of personality. जनाब बात यूं हुई कि A is the activating event and this A leads to C, a consequence which can be pathological or which cannot be pathological. That is, it can lead to depression, anxiety, or it may not lead to depression or anxiety. It is the B part, the belief system, the interpretation of the event which is important. And this interpretation, the belief system, it leads to superstitions, it leads to depression, it leads to anxiety. So your interpretation, your belief system is responsible for your depression, your anxiety, your set of superstitions that you hold. If we want to understand it further, well, we'll go into the detail, but do remember that in this ABC part, it was quite later that Alice also added the D and the E component. D component refers to the dispute and E component refers to the impact or effect of this dispute on the belief system or B part of the organism or individual. जनाब जहाँ तक बात हम कर रहे हैं irrational beliefs की, so try to understand that Alice is more concerned about negative or stressful events. वो जो पॉजिटिव और अच्छे इवेंट्स हैं, दे आर नॉट लीडिंग टू एनी irrationality, they are not leading to any pathology, they are not leading to any emotional disturbance, they are not leading to any maladjustment, they are not leading to any depression, anxiety or any other disorder. It is always the negative events which affects an individual more. Let's take an example. Suppose I say I have failed in the midterm examination. Now this is a negative event. The moment I say I have failed in the midterm examination, well, a set of cognitions, a set of beliefs are there within me which are irrational, and there is a set of beliefs which are rational. जैसे ही मैंने ये जुमला बोला, उसके साथ ही two things happen simultaneously. I may begin to interpret it with illogical reasoning, irrational, illogical reasoning such as I am dumb, I am stupid, I will never pass my final term examination, and I am not worthy of being a student in this big university. Illogical, irrational reasoning एक तो ये हो सकता. On the other hand, the logical or the more rational reasoning would be, I was sick when I took the examination. I need to work hard for my final term examination and I should prepare myself thoroughly for the final term examination. So for Alice, it's important how you interpret an event. Dear students, we'll be talking to you in detail about Albert Ellis biographical sketch और हम उस स्केच में से कुछ चीज़ें रिलेट करेंगे. लगता कुछ यूँ है कि एलिस ने अपनी ज़िंदगी जिस तरह गुजारी है, in a very happy, pleasant way, in a very logical, rational way, he promotes the same philosophy to others. उसके बाद जनाब आपसे बात बहुत डिटेल में रहेगी his views related to human nature. We'll talk about his theory of personality, his ABC theory of personality. Irrational beliefs के ऊपर बात करेंगे बहुत डिटेल में, कितने irrational beliefs की एलिस बात करे. Rational emotive behavior therapy का process देखेंगे. Rational emotive behavior therapy की techniques देखेंगे. Rational emotive behavior therapy के goals देखेंगे. We'll see the applications of rational emotive behavior therapy. उसको आपके लिए समराइज करेंगे और evaluate करेंगे. Dear students, keep one thing in your mind, that we'll be talking a lot about rationality, about irrationality. And for Alice, if you possess a set of rational, logical views, if you have a logical belief system, if you interpret everything logically, you are going to be a well-adjusted individual. But if you view everything illogically, irrationally, you are going to be more maladjusted. You are going to suffer from depression, anxiety, and superstitious behavior. And that is what Alice doesn't want. He wants everybody to be well-adjusted and to lead a satisfying life. So let us go through the biographical sketch of Albert Ellis. He was born in 1913 in Pittsburgh and grew up in New York. He did his MA and PhD from Columbia University. He was the eldest of the 3 children and he was hospitalized 9 times for kidney problems. He developed a pattern of taking care of himself and being self-responsible. Making his own breakfast, lunch and going to the school by himself were the attributes he had. His father was a businessman, so he was away from home most of the time and his mother was not concerned about the family. He practiced psychoanalysis from 1947 to 1953, but he was not satisfied with it. He saw that his clients were never symptom-free, so he developed REBT, Rational Emotive Behavior Therapy, and began using it by 1950s. He invented the ABC model, which is applied to the understanding of personality and factors that affect personality change. According to Alice, individuals respond to an event A with emotional behavioral consequences C, and now the C not being caused by A but by the individual's belief system B. जनाब बात आपसे हो रही है एल्बर्ट एलिस की बायोग्राफिकल स्केच की. हमने कहा he was born in Pittsburgh and he did his masters and PhD from Columbia University. Now he had a severe kidney problem for which he was admitted 9 times in the hospital. दूसरी तरफ हम ये देखते हैं कि he had a father who was a businessman. The mother was not concerned with the family. So what happened? He used to make his own breakfast, his own lunch and used to go to school. So he was managing himself in the best possible way. So based on his personal life experience, he developed the ABC theory, where A is the activating event and it leads to a consequence C, and we should know that A is not causing the C. Rather, it is the B or the belief system of the individual which is leading to C or leading to a consequence. Alice has written some 725 articles and some 60 books. Some of his books are: number 1, Reason and Emotion in Psychotherapy, 1962. Number 2, The Rational Emotive Approach, 1973. And number 3, A New Guide, Rational Living, in 1997. In 1959, he founded the Rational Emotive Therapy Institute as a non-profit educational foundation to train professionals and to send self-help applications to public. Even at the ripe age of 80, he conducted sessions with individual and group clients, gave talks and conducted workshops on REBT. So, we are talking to you about Albert Ellis' personal biographical sketch, जिसमें हम देखते हैं कि he suffered through a kidney problem for which he was hospitalized. Number 2, he used to manage himself by making his own breakfast, making his own lunch, going to school, managing his assignments, taking care of himself. So, he was a rational, illogical being from the beginning and he practiced the same philosophy. So, let us talk about Albert Ellis' views related to human nature. Ellis' views of human nature. Humans have potentials for both rationality and straight positive thinking. We can be happy, positive, loving, self-preserving, self-actualizing, or irrationality or crooked thinking. We can be superstitious, intolerant, perfectionist, involved in self-blame, avoidance of self-actualization. So it was in 1979 that Alice listed some key assumptions about humans, such as: number 1, people have biological and cultural tendency to think irrationally and to disturb themselves. Number 2, humans are unique in the way that they invent their irrational beliefs and continue to be disturbed by them. Number 3, people condition themselves to be disturbed rather than the environment or external factors. Number 4, people have capacity and potential to change themselves by changing their cognition, emotion and behavior to remain minimum disturbed for the rest of their lives. Number 5, humans through constant self-talk, self-evaluation, self-assessment develop emotional behavioral difficulties such as need or desire for love, approval, success. This hinders the self-growth and self-actualization. It seems that Alice is being Freudian in his approach with emphasis on biological nature of humans, but he rejects Freud and says that humans are not completely controlled by instincts. People are unique and they have potential to change and they have power to understand their limitations. Dear students, we are talking to you about Albert Ellis' views related to human nature. Well, according to Albert Ellis, we possess a potential to be rational. We have potential to be happy, to be positive, to be loving, and we also have a potential to be irrational, to have crooked thinking, to be superstitious, to be intolerant, to blame ourselves for all our shortcomings, so on and so forth. Now, Alice in 1979, he listed some of the basic assumptions related to human nature. ये जो basic assumptions हैं related to human nature, if you can focus on them, सबसे पहली चीज he is saying it is your genes and your culture which is responsible for your irrationality. So you can easily blame your genes or biology or the culture which is responsible for irrationality that you possess or I possess. Number 2, human beings, they invent their irrational beliefs by themselves. So we invent our irrational beliefs by ourselves. Number 3, we condition ourselves. हम बार बार उस अपने आप को वो जो जुमले और irrational beliefs हैं उसे दोहराते हैं. Number 4, we have the capacity and potential to change our cognition, emotion and behavior. तो अल्लाह ताला ने आपके अंदर ये सलाहियत और ये पोटेंशियल रखी है कि आप अपनी सोच को, आप अपने जज्बात को और आप अपने किरदार को, अपने बिहेवियर को बदल सकते हैं. एंड नंबर 5, विच इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, कॉन्स्टेंटली इट इज थ्रू सेल्फ टॉक, सेल्फ वर्बलाइजेशन that we keep on talking about all irrationalities that is there within us. और जब हम बार बार ये सेल्फ टॉक, सेल्फ एवेल्युएशन, सेल्फ असेसमेंट अपनी करते रहते हैं तो वी आर एक्चुअली हिंडरिंग द सेल्फ ग्रोथ और सेल्फ एक्चुअलाइजेशन प्रोसेस. क्योंकि मैं बार बार अपने आई एम नीडिंग अप्रूवल, आई एम एवेल्युएटिंग माई सेल्फ, आई एम ब्लेमिंग माई सेल्फ कॉन्स्टेंटली फॉर माई शॉर्टकमिंग. So for Alice, within us, we have the potential to be rational, we have the potential to be irrational, that is there within you. अब इल्ज़ाम Alice के ऊपर ये है कि when he is talking about genes or biology and culture, well, he is being a Freudian in his approach. Well, he rejects this criticism. And for him, he thinks human beings are unique and they have the potential to change, and the most important thing, they have the power to understand their limitations. So he is rejecting Freudian criticism. He is rejecting the thing that when people label him as a Freudian, he thinks people are unique and he thinks they have the potential to change. And people have the power to understand their limitations. So he is being entirely different from Sigmund Freud. Theory of personality. Alice is interested in studying the biological, social, psychological factors that make humans vulnerable to disturbances that can be cognitive, emotive, and behavioral in nature. Alice's ABC theory of personality focuses on the biological and social factors that cause emotional disturbance. Dear students, we are talking to you about Albert Ellis' theory of personality. और हमने आपसे ये कहा कि for Alice, biological factors, psychological factors and social factors are responsible for personality development. जब आप एल्बर्ट एलिस की ABC theory of personality देखते हैं, उसमें दो चीज़ों की तरफ फोकस है. Number 1 on biological factors and number 2 on social factors. So biological factors are referring to the genes or inheritance, and the social factors are referring to the socialization process and the agents of socialization, जिसमें पेरेंट्स भी आएंगे, टीचर्स भी आएंगे, स्कूल भी आएगा, बुक्स भी आएंगी, and all interpersonal relationships. So let us talk about these biological and social factors. Biological factors. The individuals have innate tendencies to react to events in certain ways by damning themselves when they do not get what they want. Example, I am a failure. I never get what I want. Now study every event of your life with this tendency. Certain severe mental disturbance can be partly inherited and have strong biological components such as schizophrenia that inhibits thinking logically. Social factors such as interpersonal relationships in families, peer groups, school, that is teachers and friends, and their impact on expectations that individuals have of themselves and others. When individuals are accepted by others, they feel worthwhile and dependable, and when they are criticized, they feel bad, worthless and negative. जनाब बात आपसे हो रही है about Albert Ellis theory of personality, जिसमें फोकस दो फैक्टर्स की तरफ है, बायोलॉजिकल फैक्टर्स की तरफ है और दूसरे सोशल फैक्टर्स की तरफ है. बायोलॉजिकल फैक्टर्स रिफर सिंपली टू द जीन्स और इनहेरिटेंस or the message that you are getting from your parents. Number 2, social factors refer to interpersonal relationships, and these interpersonal relationships mold your personality. जनाब बात यूँ है कि अगर आपको पेरेंट्स, टीचर्स, आपके बहन भाई और फ्रेंड्स, if they appreciate you, you feel worthwhile and dependable and you gain confidence. But when you are criticized, well, you feel negative, you feel worthless, you feel bad, and this lowers your self-esteem. So, biological factors are important, psychological factors are important, they mold your personality. ABC theory of personality. The rational emotive behavior, ABC theory of personality. A refers to an activating event, B refers to the belief system of the individual, C refers to the consequence. Now in this ABC model of personality, quite later Alice added D and the E component as well. So it is A, B, C, D, E, where D refers to disputing or debating or challenging the irrational beliefs, and E refers to the effect or impact of the debate on minimizing irrationality in one's attitude. We are talking to you about Albert Ellis' theory of personality, और हमने उसमें आपसे कहा he gave the ABC theory, where A refers to the activating event. Any event that is there is labeled as the activating event which acts upon you. As a result of this activating event A, it leads to a consequence result which is C. Now, the B part refers to the belief system or the interpretation that an individual makes of the event. It was quite later that Albert Ellis also added the D and the E component as well. D refers to the dispute or the debate, or let's say the argument or the philosophy that an individual has related to challenging his irrational belief, and E is the impact of the D, dispute or argument that is there. हमने ये कहा कि ABC theory जो थी वो initially Albert Ellis ने दी, and the D and E component, the dispute and the effect component was added by him quite later. Now let us understand this A, B, C, D, E theory with example. So it will make things more clear. क्योंकि हम कह रहे हैं A is activating event, B is the belief system or interpretation that an individual makes of an event, C is the consequence or result, D is the dispute part, E is the effect or impact. So let's take two examples and let's try to understand it through examples. Example number 1. Amreen gets an A+ grade on her psychology test. So A+ grade on her psychology test is the activating event A. Now this good grade will make her believe that she has ability for understanding psychology. Belief that is B. As a consequence, she decides to become a psychologist. Consequence C. Dear students, we are talking to you about an example that is related with ABC theory, जिसमें हमने कहा कि a girl named Amreen, she gets an A+ on her psychology test. So A+ is the activating event. अब ये एक बहुत अच्छा ग्रेड है, ये एक बहुत पॉजिटिव इवेंट है. So this activating event is going to have a positive consequence. और वो C क्या है? Because of her A+ grade, she decides to become a psychologist. Now, because of this very good grade, she is going to begin to trust in her intelligence, and she will believe that she has very good ability of understanding psychology. So that will be her B part. Now, this is a very positive event, getting an A grade, and it has leading to a rational interpretation and leading to a positive consequence, C. So, let us take an event, a negative event, a stressful event which creates emotional behavioral disturbance. Let's take another example. Reema gets an F grade on her psychology test. So, activating event A. Now, this grade will make her believe that she has poor ability for understanding psychology. She is a failure. She is worthless. This is belief or B part. C. As a consequence, she decides to give up studies. Consequence C. D would be now dispute part consists of 3 sections: detecting, discriminating and debating. The therapist helps Reema to detect, to discriminate and debate her irrational belief. E part. The new effective philosophy can bring about more positive productive behaviors where Reema is no longer depressed and do not feel worthless, rather takes a new approach to work hard and take up her studies. So we are talking about a stressful event where there's a student named Reema. She gets an F grade on her psychology test. So it's a stressful event. It's a negative event leading to emotional behavioral disturbance. So she believes she is a failure. She is worthless. That is the B part. A, getting an F grade is the A. Believing that she is a failure is the B. Consequence, giving up studies. Now the D part, dispute part, consists of 3 things: detecting, discriminating and debating. सबसे पहले तो डिटेक्ट करें गलती कहाँ पे हुई, डिस्क्रिमिनेट करें क्या करना चाहिए था, और फिर उस पर डिबेट, उसके ऊपर आर्ग्यूमेंट और बहस होनी चाहिए. सो इट इज द थेरेपिस्ट हु विल मेक द स्टूडेंट रियलाइज that she should be able to detect, discriminate and debate her irrational belief, the B part. So D works on the B part. And as a result of this D working on the belief system, B part, it leads to a new positive philosophy that the student develops, and the student now has a new approach, that is to work hard and to take up her studies. So giving up the irrational attitude, giving up the defeatist attitude, taking up a positive approach, taking up an approach where an individual can put forward the best potentials that are there. Irrational beliefs. Examples: I have failed in my role as an employer. I should be a good teacher like my father. I do not like my behavior with my employees. At every cost, I should win the club membership. I must control my anger. I must please my boss. I should fulfill my promise with my students. And many, many more. See, the focus is on must, should, blame, and failure. These sentences are framed by us. We keep repeating them to ourselves. We internalize them. We hang on to them. And the result is that we develop a set of emotions which are irrational, illogical, and they lead to development of neurosis, psychosis, depression, loss of self-worth, hatred, and some of the main irrational beliefs that lead to self-defeat and feelings of worthlessness are there in all of us. So, dear students, we are talking about a set of irrational beliefs. मैंने अभी कुछ थोड़े से अपने irrational beliefs किए कि I should always please my boss, I should never be a failure in life, I should always be successful. Now, these are all my set of irrational beliefs. So, what happened? We invent these set of irrational beliefs, we keep repeating them to ourselves, we hang on to them, and the net result is we internalize them and we develop a pathology, neurosis, psychosis, depression, a feeling of being worthless, a failure. And what is happening? I am constantly evaluating, assessing myself. And this leads to a hindrance in self-actualization. Now, Alice thinks that universally all of us possess a set of irrational beliefs. कोई 11 या 12 irrational beliefs हैं जिन पे Alice का बहुत focus है. Let us see them. Number 1, we must have love from all people. Number 2, we must be always competent, adequate and achieving. Number 3, when people do not behave according to our own thinking, we should blame them and see them as wicked, bad and rotten. तो जनाब हर शख्स मुझसे मोहब्बत करे नामुमकिन है. हर सूरत में मुझे एडिक्वेट, सक्सेसफुल, कॉम्पिटेंट होना चाहिए, इम्पॉसिबल. जब चीजें और इवेंट्स उस तरह ना हो रही हों जैसे उन्हें होना चाहिए, तो देन ऑल पीपल आर विकेड, बैड एंड रॉटन. सो दीज आर ऑल इरेशनल बिलीव्स. नंबर 4, we should see things as catastrophic when we are treated unfairly or rejected or frustrated. Emotional misery is part of external world and we have no control over it. We can just cry over it. Number 6, things which appear fearsome or dangerous, we should perceive them as very dangerous and we should be anxious about them. तो जनाब catastrophic events वो हैं जब मैं frustrate हो जाऊँ, जब मेरी ख्वाहिशात पूरी ना हो. नंबर 2, इमोशनल मिजरी ऐसी है, मेरे जो इमोशंस हैं उनके ऊपर मेरा कोई कंट्रोल नहीं है एंड आई ओनली कैन क्राई ओवर दैट. और फिर बहुत अहम बात ये कि देयर आर dangerous or fearful stimuli and I should be scared of them and I should sit at home. So that is again another set of irrational beliefs. Number 7, it is difficult to undertake responsibilities in life. It is more rewarding to avoid them. Number 8, our past is important. It determines our present and it keeps determining our current behavior. And you have no control on yourself. Number 9, we should find perfect solutions to our problems. सबसे अहम बात ये कि जिम्मेदारियां लेनी ही नहीं चाहिए क्योंकि जिम्मेदारियां लेना मुश्किल काम है. So since it's difficult to take responsibility, it's better to avoid them. एक और अहम चीज, बहुत अहम चीज वो ये कि your past is totally controlling you. यानी आपका जो माजी है वो आपके हाल और आपके मुस्तकबिल पे पूरी तरह हावी है. Number 9, there should be a perfect solution to our problems. एक इतना जबरदस्त और perfect solution होना चाहिए problem का कि बस सिर्फ बाकी लाजवाब हो. Number 10, we can maximize happiness by remaining inactive and enjoy life. Number 11, people and things should turn out the way I want them to be, otherwise it's horrible. Number 12, my worth and self-acceptance depends on my performance and degree of approval given to me by people. These irrational, illogical, mistaken, dogmatic, unchallenging beliefs pushes or emotes or acts as a defeat for the person. We must learn to stop blaming ourselves. The imperfections that one has should be accepted by us, and we should come out of the trap of irrationality, self-blame and self-condemnation. Dear students, we are talking to you about some 12 irrational beliefs that are universally found in people, and it is because of these irrational beliefs that people suffer from maladjustment, people suffer from depression, anxiety or psychopathology. So, the thing is that irrationality, illogical thinking is a trap. Self-blaming, self-condemnation is a trap. One should come out of it and one should begin to accept one's limitations. One should begin to accept oneself as it is. All these irrational views are related with number 1 about the self or about others or about the world. जनाब हमने जितने irrational beliefs आपके साथ अभी 12 डिस्कस किए, all of them are relating either to the person, that is self, or to others or to the world. So constantly we are involved, we are trapped in irrationality, and this irrationality is either related to ourself, is either related to others or is related about the world. Now here's an assignment for you. Make a list of all irrational beliefs that your parents, teachers and friends think you possess. So just sit down and make a list of a set of irrational beliefs जो आपके parents समझते हैं आपके अंदर हैं, आपके teachers समझते हैं आप में हैं, आपके friends समझते हैं आप में, और आप खुद जो समझते हैं आप में irrational beliefs हैं. Sit down and write them down. REBT therapeutic process. The therapeutic process. Number 1, develop rapport with the client. Number 2, point a few irrational beliefs of the client. Number 3, demonstrate to the client illogical nature of his ideas. Number 4, challenge the client to validate his illogical ideas. Number 5, use humor to confront client's beliefs. Number 6, replace irrational ideas with rational ones. Number 7, use cognitive, emotional or behavioral techniques to help the client. Dear students, we are talking to you about rational emotive behavior therapy process. हमने उसमें आपसे कहा सबसे पहले develop rapport or a working relationship with your client. Number 2, make the client realize the set of few irrational beliefs that he has. Demonstrate to the client that his ideas or beliefs are irrational. Number 4, challenge them. Challenge the client to validate his irrational, illogical ideas. And number 5, you can use humor to confront the illogical set of beliefs the client has. और सबसे अहम बात ये कि always replace irrationality with rationality, illogical base of your thinking with logical basis of thinking, and always use cognitive, emotional and behavioral techniques to help an individual who is suffering from irrational beliefs or irrationality or superstitious thinking. Techniques of REBT. REBT is an effective therapy that focuses on changing individuals' irrational and dogmatic cognitions by using techniques which are of 3 types: cognitive methods, behavioral methods, emotional methods. Janab, REBT is basically a therapy which focuses on changing irrational beliefs with rational beliefs, which tries to focus on making an individual adjust to his life. And there are 3 set of techniques that REBT focuses on: cognitive techniques, Emotional techniques, behavioral set of techniques. Cognitive methods or techniques. REBT says that an individual has a set of negative, irrational, disturbing set of self-statements which he has to dispute, debate, challenge, interpret and explain. At times, the therapist even uses techniques of, number 1, disputing of irrational beliefs, number 2, cognitive homework, number 3, changing one's language, that is, avoid using should and must. तो जनाब सबसे पहले हमारे पास हैं कॉग्निटिव मेथड्स, और कॉग्निटिव मेथड्स में बात यूं है कि यू इन्वेंट अ सेट ऑफ आइडियाज, बिलीव्स एंड यू कीप रिपीटिंग देम टू योरसेल्फ and you hang on to them, you internalize them, and as a result you develop a pathology. Now the individual has to develop a set of rational beliefs, debate them, talk about them, internalize them and depend on them. अब जो टेक्निक्स इस्तेमाल कर रहे हैं REBT थेरेपिस्ट, वो इंक्लूड करते हैं डिस्प्यूटिंग ऑफ इरेशनल बिलीव्स, कॉग्निटिव होमवर्क and changing one's language, that is giving up all shoulds and musts. There is another set of techniques which is labeled as behavioral techniques or behavioral methods. Behavioral methods include behavior therapy techniques such as self-management, systematic desensitization, biofeedback, modeling, behavioral homework. Clients actually perform or act difficult things in real life so that they have insights in form of concrete actions. So REBT is borrowing a number of techniques from behavior therapy, जिसमें self-management, systematic desensitization, biofeedback, modeling and behavioral homework. And the focus is on actually doing or performing so that an individual is no more shy or timid about doing it in public or doing it in front of others as well. उसके बाद है जनाब इमोशनल मेथड्स और इमोशनल टेक्निक्स. क्लाइंट्स आर नॉट प्रोवाइडेड विद सिंपैथी, नॉट देयर लॉन्ग टेल्स ऑफ वोज आर एनकरेज्ड, रादर रैशनल इमोटिव इमेजरी, inappropriate feelings are changed by imagery, and number 2, role playing, that is shy or fearful roles are encouraged to play. हमारे पास दूसरी सेट ऑफ टेक्निक्स हैं जिसमें इमोशनल टेक्निक्स हैं. नाउ द क्लाइंट इज नो मोर प्रोवाइडेड विद सिंपैथी, नो नीड टू सिंपैथाइज विद द क्लाइंट, नो नीड टू लिसन टू हिज लॉन्ग टेल्स ऑफ क्राइज एंड नो नीड टू सिंपैथाइज. दूसरी तरफ यूजिंग रैशनल इमोटिव इमेजरी और रोल प्लेइंग. रैशनल इमोटिव इमेजरी तो है, बाय यूजिंग इट यू कैन चेंज द फीलिंग्स ऑफ द इंडिविजुअल. And role playing is a very effective technique where shy, fearful role is encouraged to be played by the client. Goals of REBT. Number 1, minimize client's self-defeating, irrational outlook and acquire realistic ideology of life. And number 2, create self-interest, social interest, self-direction, tolerance, flexibility, commitment and acceptance of uncertainty. बात आपसे हो रही है जनाब गोल्स ऑफ REBT, जिसमें है कि मिनिमाइज क्लाइंट सेल्फ डिफीटिस्ट एटीट्यूड, इरेशनल बिलीव्स और उसके अंदर सोशल इंटरेस्ट, सोशल सेल्फ डायरेक्शन, टॉलरेंस, फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी क्रिएट करें. व्हाट आर द एप्लीकेशंस ऑफ REBT? नंबर 1, इट कैन बी अप्लाइड टू ट्रीटमेंट ऑफ एंजाइटी, हॉस्टिलिटी, डिप्रेशन, मैरिटल प्रॉब्लम्स एंड चाइल्ड रेयरिंग. Number 2, self-management and social skills training. Number 3, summary of REBT. जनाब रैशनल इमोटिव बिहेवियर थेरेपी या एल्बर्ट एलिस की ABC थ्योरी की तरफ आते हैं. हमने आपसे शुरू बात कुछ इस तरह की थी कि एलिस इज फोकसिंग ऑन इरेशनल बिलीव्स ऑफ एन इंडिविजुअल. नाउ ऑल स्ट्रेसफुल इवेंट्स आर टेकन एज एक्टिवेटिंग इवेंट्स A, leading to a consequence emotional disturbance or depression, anxiety, and this A leading to C is not because A is leading to C, this A because of B leads to C, and it was later that Alice added the D and the E component, the dispute part, and after disputing your irrational belief, what impact it has on the individual. That is this new philosophy, this new information, what impact it has on the individual. So now it is A, B, C, D, E theory of personality. Janab, all your irrational beliefs are responsible for your emotional maladjustment. So for Alice, it's very important that one should modify and give up one's irrational beliefs. Evaluation. Number 1, a theory which scientifically attacks the irrational or superstitious behavior of an individual. And number 2, considers that innately we are rational and it is socialization that makes us irrational. तो जनाब एक ऐसी theory आपके पास है जो scientifically आपके irrational belief, आपके superstitious behavior को attack करती है, और दूसरी तरफ ये बताती है कि you are a rational being, you are a person who believes in logic and wisdom, लेकिन it is socialization which makes you irrational. Dear students, I hope you have enjoyed listening to this lecture. Please go through the Word document and the PowerPoint slides that are available on the web page of your course Personality Psychology, and do write to us if you have a problem. Please take very good care of yourself. Hope to see you in our next lecture. Up till then, it's Khuda Hafiz.